What's going on, everybody? Toronto Raptors broadcast assistant Mike Roach here, and another episode for IGTV coming at you from OXP Media. Obviously, you know me, Mike Roach. And there's a lot of things going on right now since I spoke to you a couple days ago. Now we're talking about Raps-Bucks covering the first game. Raps go down, lose by 8, 108-100. Zion Williamson possibly going to the New Orleans Pelicans. Golden State is up 1-0, so there's a few things that I got to get to quickly. And it usually runs a little bit longer than 10 minutes. However, I will leave the YouTube link in the bio. And right now, joining me by phone, I have the pleasure of speaking to Ryan Mcneill from Athletes Unfiltered. Very good friend of mine over these last couple of years, being with him down at Scotiabank Arena on a game-to-game basis. And he's been covering the NBA for almost 15 years, extremely knowledgeable. And Ryan, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me tonight.
No problem. I've enjoyed talking basketball with you the past few seasons. I've had a blast having you on my podcast, so it'll be fun to be on yours today.
So, Ryan, let's start with the Raptors and the Bucks here. And the Raps look like they were actually controlling the pace of Game 1 in Milwaukee. And Pascal Siakam hits a 3 at the buzzer at the third quarter. They go into the fourth quarter up by 7. Kyle Lowry was doing his thing. Kawhi Leonard was playing very well up to the fourth quarter. But then not too much after that. It fell off a little bit with Pascal. He played decent. But after that, he didn't really get too much. What the hell happened going into the fourth quarter?
Isn't it only Kyle Lowry who had to make field goals in the fourth quarter? I don't know how the wheels fell off that badly, but Pascal finished 6 of 10 from the field, which is not his normal averages. Kawhi had an off night for him. I think Chris Middleton is a tough defender for him to face because of his agility and his size, and that combination just really, it slowed Kawhi down. And then Toronto almost wasted Kyle Lowry's best game of the playoffs. That being said, I love the defensive approach Toronto had. The execution was good, and you slowed Giannis down, and there's no way that Lopez is going to go for more than 20 points again. I do think the right strategy is daring Milwaukee to shoot three-pointers and to stuff the paint to slow down Giannis.
Now, I'm not sure what your prediction was and in how many games of who was going to win this series before the season started. But what has Game 1 taught you about this series of how it may play out?
That it's going to be a really close series. I know that the majority of ESPN and Fox Sports writers and NBA.com writers thought that Milwaukee was going to win. Even having NBA radio on the other night, they thought that the Bucks could beat the Warriors. But seeing how Toronto could control the first half, have a lead going into the fourth quarter, I just don't see this being an easy series for Milwaukee. I see a bunch of close games where a timely run in the fourth quarter can win that game for a team. And I think that it's going to go at least 6 games. Hopefully only 6 for Toronto. They can close it at home in Game 6. But it could go 7 games. I think it's going to be a slugfest between these two teams. The opposite of this Portland Golden State series.
Now, if you're Nick Nurse, what is that major adjustment, if any, you believe that the Raptors would have to make in Game 2 to steal a game in Milwaukee?
The one that I would like to see him make, but I don't think that he's going to make, is you switch Serge Ibaka in starting 5 in place of Marc Gasol. Now, Marc Gasol was huge in that Philadelphia series. His defense on Embiid is a big reason why Toronto is still playing. That being said, Milwaukee's bigs are a lot more mobile, and they shoot a lot more threes.
Interesting.
And Ibaka is, I feel, a better defender for the style of play that Milwaukee makes. And before the Gasol trade, and even after the All-Star game, there was talk that Ibaka could be an All-Star, and he was playing in the Eastern Conference, an All-Star all-star level. If you were to put Ibaka in sort of unit for the next few games, that would be a huge confidence boost for him. If he had the big Game 7 against Philly, you could have a big series against Milwaukee, and just getting him mentally refocused and just locked in again, I think could pay huge dividends for Toronto as well.
Now, we're talking about a lot of big bodies. There's another big body that's about to be coming into the NBA, and his name is Zion Williamson. I'm pretty sure, I guess you've heard of him.
Oh, of course. I saw him live for the first time this past summer when Duke came to Mississauga for 2 exhibition games. Just a force of nature in person. You have to see this guy in person, Mike. Like, TV doesn't do him justice.
Oh, man, I'm waiting. He looks like an absolute freak of nature. Obviously, I've seen him all over the television, but I would really love to see him up close. Now, before I even get to the draft and the Pelicans, what is your take on Zion Williamson's game from what you saw in his 1 year at Duke?
So I'm going to be honest. When I saw him this summer going in, so before I saw him, I should say, I was like, oh, he's just a dunker, another high flyer, whatever. He spent an hour and a half before each of those games sweating through his shirt. And not just dunking, not just messing around. He was working with a coach on his shooting form. He was working on perimeter shots, working on footwork. And then when I watched him in games, he's this big dude, but he has the footwork of a ballet star. And I will not mess up the name for a male ballet star, but his footwork is just phenomenal. It's like a Steph Curry kind of footwork, but he's this big guy, and that's why he had so many chase down blocks and some steals this year. And on the defensive end, he makes plays. And he doesn't take gambles and silly stuff like James Harden to get his steals. He's a really smart player with great footwork, who's agile, and his defensive abilities and efforts, as much as the dunks are fun to watch, what really impressed me is how he played it on the defensive end. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he's an absolutely phenomenal player, and I can't wait to see him because of how many things that he actually can do on both ends of the floor, just like you just specified. But now New Orleans gets the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And it seems like, I mean, listen, the consensus should be Zion Williamson. But on the other hand, you have an issue with Anthony Davis from midseason to now. He wants out. What do you do if you're the Pelicans?
I think you try and get as much value as you can. I think Griffin's going to go to Anthony Davis. Hey, we have this pick. We have you and Zion and Drew. We can be one of the top teams in the West. But the reality is that relationship with the city and with the franchise, I think it's tarnished. I don't think you can kind of fix it at this point. So I think Griffin, once he gets okay, I'll try, or no, I'm for sure out from Anthony Davis, I think the Knicks become a really strong option, especially if RJ Barrett is available at number 3. You can get Mitchell Robinson, Dennis Smith Jr., the number 3 pick, 2 of the 5 first-round picks the Knicks have in the next 2 subsequent drafts. I think that's a really good core. And then you have 2 really good buddies in RJ and Zion who will grow together in New Orleans. And I just feel you can trade Drew Holiday as well. I feel the mistake the Pelicans made with Anthony Davis is they didn't build a strong foundation around him. And they kept putting these patchwork solutions. They didn't fully invest in Boogie Cousins. All these mistakes, like not building a roster, the Pelicans have a chance right now to have that foundational piece in Zion, but also get a guy who'll be a multiple-time All-Star, RJ Barrett, who's Zion's buddy. So now you have a really good foundation. Mitchell Robinson is probably going to be a first-team All-NBA rookie, a really strong defensive player. You got Dennis Smith Jr. Like, now you're starting to build a young roster that can grow together and that is young, but has a ton of talent.
Now, do you believe they would have a better trade offer than the Lakers? And why do you do you believe that the Pelicans would still do anything with the Lakers? Why or why not?
I think if the Pelicans had a better offer, I think Griffin, because he's new to this, would be open to it. I just feel that the dip from third down to fourth is just so huge still. And Brandon Ingram, I know he has a clean bill of health, but it's very reminiscent of what Chris Bosh went through. And so there's a big medical question mark around Ingram with a TOS. And I'm not even going to say the full medical terms, I'm a butcher. But Ingram's medical is a question mark. Kuzma, is he really the guy you want? In New Orleans, are you going to trade for Lonzo Ball in the package when he didn't even be part of that New Orleans franchise? And so what do the Lakers really have that's going to knock your socks off? I do feel that RJ Barrett is the perfect piece, or even John Morant is a big piece. But then who do you go with? Darius Garland, who missed most of the season for 5 games. Jarrett Culver, who has question marks. I just feel, sadly for the Lakers, that 4th pick should be good, and in most drafts it would be, yeah, let's do it. But there's a big drop-off from an RJ Barrett or a John Morant down to that number 4 pick.
Okay, now we're speaking a little bit about the Lakers and the Pelicans, so let's just stay in the Western Conference. Now, the Golden State Warriors taking on the Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals. Is there anything Portland can actually do to beat the Warriors?
Something surprising that I really liked a lot in the first game, and I'm seeing a little bit now in the second game, is Zach Collins. I feel he's a young guy, maybe not as experienced, but his athleticism is a nice change of pace. Cantor's more of your plotting kind of big man. He gets a lot of buckets on offense, but on defense he's just not there. I think Zach Collins can challenge at the rim a little bit better, get some more rebounds. I think Collins could be a spark. Obviously, Dame and CJ are beasts, and they're having monster playoffs. I kind of want to see Mo Harkless step up too and make a bigger impact, but Portland's going to have a really tough time winning a game, let alone the series.
Man, I mean, I just don't see a way for Portland to win this series. I just don't. Like, Golden State just has way too much firepower for these guys.
And I hate to say it, but you'd almost need a Golden State injury to Steph or Draymond. And I hope after all their injuries, with KD probably being out to the finals and Boogie probably out for the season still, they've had 2 All-Stars sidelined, and they're still chugging along. I just hope that Golden State stays healthy for the rest of the playoffs.
Ryan, where can we find you online? Give us your podcast, Twitter handle, Instagram. Where can we find your work?
Podcast is NBA Overtime. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, basically wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah.
I have a lot of YouTube videos. Athletes Unfiltered on YouTube. I have interviews with players and coaches and behind-the-scenes stuff. So if you're a video person, that's where you can find my stuff. And I'm on Twitter at Ryan Mcneill. And that's where you can find me on social media, I guess.
Appreciate this, Ryan. I really, really do. And looking forward to seeing you Game 3. Will you be at Scotiabank for Game 3?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on. I will have you again on soon. Great guest. And once again, I really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. My pleasure.
No problem. Thank you very much, Ryan. And there it is, folks. A lot going on in the NBA right now. Don't know what's going to really happen with the New Orleans Pelicans and Zion Williamson. Well, we know he's going to go there, but what I should say is what they're going to do with Anthony Davis is the real question. Game 2 coming up Friday night. Raptors, Bucks. See what adjustments are made from both teams. Bucks actually pulled that game out even though they didn't play well, but thanks to Brook Lopez absolutely going off for 29 points, and I think he hit like 4 or 5 threes, just absolutely destroyed the Toronto Raptors from downtown. And we'll see what happens with the Portland Trailblazers. And the Golden State Warriors, even though Kevin Durant is out, they got to find a way to be able to contain Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. So we'll see what happens in game 2 there. So all of that is going on. I know it's a lot, but you know what? It's that time of year right now, and it's great things happening with basketball, whether it be with the NCAA and Zion Williamson heading to the NBA, or, like I said, these conference finals. So looking forward to seeing what happens over these next couple of days, and I'll be back with another video soon. It's Mike Roach, OXP Media, o.xp.media on Instagram. At Mike Roach 7 is my personal Instagram handle, and I'll see you guys again soon. Peace.